Hi Outlook. So this week we're talking about Chapter 2, Email Special Features. And I want to go over some of the kind of neat special features that are available to you in an Outlook Exchange environment. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new email here. And we're going to use a scenario of we have a department meeting that's coming up, and this one's going to be one that is catered. And we would like to give people choices as to which restaurant we cater from. So normally if you did that, you'd have to send out emails to all the people who are attending the meeting, and then they would reply back, right? And they would tell you their favorite restaurant. But what if there were 10 different favorite restaurants? And what if in the replies you're not sure that people actually replied? Maybe they were giving you other requests in the replies. So we can imagine how that might be a difficult task. But Outlook has special features that allow you to control not just voting options, is what they're called, but also tracking options. All right, so what am I talking about here? I've got my email open, and I'm going to focus today on the Options tab. And in this chapter, you're going to be talking about themes. I'm going to slide over here to the Tracking group inside of the Options tab. And let's look at the tracking options together. So we're going to start off by talking about the voting and tracking options. So again, in this scenario where we're talking about getting catering from a specific restaurant, let's say that we've got some ideas as to which restaurants we have a budget for. So what we can do is we can say, you know what, Outlook, I would like to use voting buttons. And when I click that on, you'll notice that on the right hand side here, I've got some default options, approve and reject, but that doesn't really help us with our voting options. So let's click on the drop down arrow to see what else is available to us. We've got yes and no, and yes, no, maybe. And you'll notice that each one of those options is separated by a semicolon. Now it's important to note that because when you separate voting options with a semicolon, you get a separate button for each one of the options. If you do not use the semicolon, if you use any other sort of symbol, you're going to get one contiguous or one long voting option, which doesn't really help you. All right, so again, approve and reject doesn't really help us. So what we're going to do is we're just going to overtype in this field, right? So we got rid of that option, and we're going to say, you know what, Outlook, what we actually want to do is we want to give 3 options here. So we're going to put in there our options of, let's say that the first option is going to be Mimi's restaurant, right? So I put in Mimi's, and I want to end that first option and start the next option with a semicolon. And then the next option, let's say, is going to be Stonefire Grill. All right, Stonefire Grill. That's going to be my second option. So notice that the actual name of the restaurant is indeed separated, right? But I'm going to separate this option from the third option with another semicolon. And let's say that the last option that we've got a budget for is going to be Panera. Okay, so here we've given 3 options, right? You can give 4, 5, or however many that you want to give, but you don't want to give too many because then, again, you have that same problem of too many choices. So we've given the options here, and we've also controlled what options are being selected, right? We've let people know what it is that they can indeed vote for. Okay, so as we go down this list, we have also here 2 other options, which are request a deliver receipt and request a read receipt. And the difference between these 2 options, as the text will explain to you, is that the deliver receipt just means that when you send this email out to someone else, and that domain or that server receives their email and it's sitting in their inbox, then you're going to get an email that says, okay, this has been delivered and it's ready to be read, right? So at this point, it's just sitting in the inbox when you request a deliver receipt. All right, so if you wanted to request a read receipt, however, that means that it's been not only delivered, but somehow the recipient interacted with the email message. Now, you would think that that means that they actually read it, but it doesn't actually mean that. It's just a suggestion here. It means that the email was interacted with, which means that they could have maybe opened it, possibly it's showing in their preview pane. Now, it doesn't guarantee that they actually read it, though, that they actually understand the contents of the email message. Okay, so we had our tracking options here. We had our first option was the voting option, and these deliver receipts and read receipts literally deliver an email into your inbox letting you know what the status of that is. Let's go down a little bit here down to the delivery options. Okay, so have you ever been in a scenario where perhaps you want to send out an email message giving information, but you want the replies to go to someone else? So imagine, for example, that you are the director of some department and you are scheduling some workshops, and you'd like those replies as to the preference for the workshop titles perhaps to be sent to the person who's actually going to be scheduling them, right? So the administrative assistant or the business information worker who's going to be handling that. So what you can do is you can say, you know what, I want, even though I'm going to be sending the email out, I want the replies being sent out to someone else. So when you choose this option, you're going to notice that your email address is going to populate there. But we don't actually want the replies to be sent to us. We're going to go ahead and select somebody else from our global address list, and I do want you to remember that. So these are options that are available to us in the Exchange environment. So what my system is doing is it's looking for my global address list so that I can select someone from there so that the replies can be sent to that person. Now once I select that person, I'm going to go back in and I'll delete my information here. So let's say, for example, today we're going to choose Christina. All right, Christina. So today the replies are going to be sent to you. And again, because I don't want those replies to be sent to me, I don't have to keep a copy of the replies, although I could if I wanted to. But if I just want to delete myself from there, then only one person will be receiving those replies. And in this case, it's going to be Christina. All right, we're going to go ahead and click on OK, and you'll notice here that then it has her name on there, right? So that, again, even though I am sending out the email, Christina will receive the replies. All right, below that, we've got the do not deliver before. So we use this option when, for example, we want to create an email, we want to format it, we want to include the information we want, but perhaps it's not the right time to send it out. And maybe it's a Friday afternoon email or a morning message, something like that. What you can do is be proactive and create your email and format it, include the information that you want to include. But if you click on do not deliver before, you can choose a specific date, right? So whatever date you want on here, and also the specific time that you want this email to be sent out. So you can be very specific again as to when the email is sent out. It allows you to, again, be proactive about your emails. Okay, we've also got here, let me go ahead and select this. We've also got here expires after. Now, when would you use an expires after? Let's say, for example, that you send out an email and you're asking for, let's say, fundraiser donations. But you need people to respond as to whether or not they can give you a fundraiser donation by a specific date. Now, if, for example, you say that a specific date is going to be this Thursday, but unfortunately the recipient of the email didn't get to your email until Friday, well, at that point, the response is not going to be timely. It's not going to be as useful or helpful to you. So you want to alert them and let them know that actually this message is expired. Whatever content was timely in this message, that time has now expired. If you click on this, in their recipient inbox, they're going to see a grayed out message which alerts them visually that, hey, this message has expired. Now, it's still going to be in their inbox. They'll still be able to read it, but again, they get an alert to let them know that the time in which that response was required has already passed. Okay, so we've gone through the voting and tracking options, and we've gone through the delivery options. Now at this point, I don't actually want this email to have any of these options selected because I'm not going to use those for this particular email, but I do want to go ahead and turn on the red receipt because I want to show you what that looks like. So I click on the option to select the red receipt, and I've got the voting options here set. I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and you'll notice here, it goes back to my email. But I also want you to notice that in the info bar of my email, the info bar is telling me that I've added voting buttons to my message. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and type in a subject here. We're going to call this department meeting lunch, right? And then in my body message, I would write something to let my recipients know that I do indeed have voting options here. And you'll notice, guys and gals, that on your screen you're going to get this message letting you know about Control-C and Control-V. It's just letting you know that in our simulated environment we can use Control-C and V, but we can't actually cut our text. Got it? No problem. And there it is, the pasted text. So here's what I was talking about earlier. We want to be able to communicate to our recipients that there is indeed a voting option that's been created for them. So not everybody knows that we're going to have a button available to us for us to select our choice. So again, we're including that in the body of our message. Okay, so for today, I'm going to pretend that I am one of the recipients, and we're also going to select a couple of people from our global address list. So I'm going to click on the two. We're going to select Abigail today. We're going to select Amber, and we're also going to select Daniel. Okay, so those are the people. One more person, Daniel Rodriguez as well. We're going to select both of those people into our two here because that's who we want to vote on their catering option. Okay, so let's go ahead and send this out. I click on send, and remember, I not only sent the email, right, so I'm the sender, but I'm also one of the recipients because I wanted to show that to you as it appeared in our inbox. So you'll notice that here's the message that I sent out. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the message, and I double click on that to open it up, and this is what happens, because remember, I requested a read receipt whenever a recipient read the message. Now I've opened it up, I haven't actually read it yet, but I get a message from Outlook that says, hey Outlook instructor, this person requested a read receipt. Do you want to send a receipt? Now at this point you could choose to say no, I do not want them to know that I've interacted with this email. You can click on no, but if it's a yes, and I'm going to go ahead and click on yes here, what you're going to see in the next window is that we're going to have an email that let us know that the email was indeed opened up. Okay, so here we are. The recipient, in this case myself as well, says gets a message that says vote by clicking vote in the respond group above. But again, not everybody knows to look there, so we also included that information in our body. And the vote button is located in the respond group. We click on vote, and you'll notice that each one of the options that I chose has its own selection, right? Its own button here. So for today, we're going to choose, let's say, Stonefire Grill. Okay. Now, when you choose as the recipient of this voting option, one of the options, it asks you here, do you want me to send the response now? And what that means is that the person who sent you the email is going to get another email that says, hey, this is what the person responded. Or you can choose to edit the response before sending, and what that will do is it will open up a reply email, and you'll be able to add whatever information you want to add to that. Let's say, for example, that you want to remind the person who's sending you the email that you're a vegan and you want to have a vegan option. All right, so in this case, guys and gals, I just want to send the response now. We're going to go ahead and click on OK, and nothing's happened there. Okay, so I responded, and it knows here that I responded to Stonefire Grill. So I'm going to close it out because I want to show you what's actually happened behind the scenes. All right, so two new things have popped up here. Now remember that I'm showing you this as both the recipient and the sender of this email. But remember that read receipt we talked about? So in my inbox, because I said yes, I wanted to send the read receipt, the sender of the read receipt gets an email message that says, hey, the email was read, and it tells them exactly when that email was read. But remember, this is just letting you know that the person interacted with the email. It does not guarantee that they actually understand the contents of the email, that they read through it. Okay, the second thing that's listed in my inbox is here. It's the option that I chose, the Stonefire Grill. So, awesome. So now I know that one person wants to go to Stonefire Grill. What about everybody else, right? So another one of the really neat things about the voting options is that it allows you to not just select which options you want to give, but it also tells you who chose what, and it also tells you who hasn't yet chosen. So for example, here I responded Stonefire Grill. So I'm going to open this up and click on View Voting Responses. So again, if you are the person sending out the email with the voting responses, every time somebody selects something, you're going to get an email letting you know what they selected. When you click on View Voting Responses, you get a list of everybody that was sent this email and all of the people who were required to respond. So Outlook Instructor chose Stonefire Grill, but at this point, if you really needed a response and maybe perhaps one of the people you had sent out the email message to hadn't yet responded, this gives you an idea of who you have to remind. Hey, send out an email reminder and say, hey, I haven't heard a response. Please vote on the options so that we can plan the lunch. Right? So it's a nice planning tool as well. Now notice that I showed you this grid here from the response that I received in my inbox. But another way to look at your voting options here to track who has voted what is to go into your sent items. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the initial email that we sent out with the voting options, because remember, I created this email. So it's going to be in my sent items. I'm going to open it up, and I want you to notice that we've got this show group here that includes the tracking option, right? You can see who's selected which option and who hasn't selected the option. If I open that up, again, this Excel grid-like sort of screen shows up here that tells you who voted what, right? So the person who got the most votes, or the restaurant that got the most votes, would be the one that gets the catering business. But again, it also reminds you of who has not yet voted so that you can send them an email reminder letting them know, I need your response. Okay, Outlook. So again, this week you're talking about email special features that are unique to Outlook Exchange environments, and features that really do help make your scheduling life, your Outlook life, your planning life a lot easier. All right, hope you have some fun with these features, and let me know if you guys have any questions.